Jules. Hi, my name is Bob Pasterjack. I'm a 20-year resident of Sherman Oaks. And a couple of weeks ago, we received in the mail the notice that we just passed out to all of the tables here about a business's intent in their application to open a pawn shop on our block. It would be on Ventura Boulevard, on the south side of the street between Costello and Colbeck. I live on that block. And we were a little bit horrified of the idea of a pawn shop opening up 20 feet away from single-family residences. I don't have an objection to a pawn shop in general. I think they ought to be in commercial districts. They're in North Hollywood, they're in Van Nuys, they're in Reseda. I don't think one belongs on Ventura Boulevard, next door to a karate studio where someone's grandchildren go, over here. So, tomorrow night, the Sherman Oaks Neighborhood Council Land Use Committee is taking this issue up at their regular meeting. It's at 6:30 at the VNSO Senior Center on Van Nuys Boulevard across from the Burger King at 6:30. The Land Use Committee is taking up this topic, and their board will hear a presentation from the applicant and their attorney why they should be allowed to convert an office building to a pawn shop, and then we will speak in opposition to that. And it would be really great if some of you who might be opposed to this pawn shop would show up at that meeting tomorrow night at 6:30, because that Land Use Committee will vote to support or oppose the pawn shop. And then a week later on Monday night, the 21st, Monday afternoon, the 21st, the City Planning Department hearing will take place. That information is attached, and they will approve or deny or perhaps extend this application for a pawn shop. So if you are opposed to a pawn shop...
Yay! Another wonderful meal from CASA VEGA. Ray, come on up. I presume everybody here knows Ray VEGA, the one and only. So, Ray, thank you very, very much, everybody. I have something for you. First of all, I want to thank you and your staff, everybody back there, for really providing a great dinner for all of us. So we have this plaque.
Got it filled almost.
It's almost filled up. 8 years. 8 years. Thank you, Ray. Okay.
I'd like to thank you all, because we've been in business now 56 years. And my daughter Christina now will be, taking over. And she was on May 4th. She was on the Today Show, and she was cooking like that our lobster enchiladas, and she's changed our food to be more healthy. For example, on your tosaditas, if you notice, it doesn't have much salt. We don't use lard. We don't use a lot of things. So we're cooking Mexican food, but healthy. And
have your attention?
I got you.
We're going to get started. I think we need a little authority up here. Do we have someone come up here that has some authority, more authority than I do?
Captain Snell.
Captain Snell. Captain Snell.
Sally. Sally.
Oh, that's right. No. Since Captain Snell's here, I don't need to bring my wife up. She has the authority.
It's about time.
Okay. Want to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight. And we're going to start out with
Holy mackerel.
John Isaac. Can you bring the water to that table?
Who's watching the cash register?
Captain Snell is the captain of the Van Nuys Division, LAPD. The Van Nuys Division oversees all policing activities for Sherman Oaks. So, we'd like to introduce him and ask him to give us an update on what is happening in the Sherman Oaks area and this division.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'm always glad to be here. I have an announcement that I want to make, and so I'm not going to take a whole lot of time to tell you what's going on with crime and some other things. I think it's important for me that I make an announcement for you so that I can at least let you know that there are going to be a few changes that are going to take place, and I want you guys to be aware of what's going on. First of all, we have just been able to promote our newest SLO, and I'd like to give him a hand. It's Vinny tomorrow. And also, although he's not here today, I'd like to announce that Jose Verdine, who is in 9823, is up at the northwest end of the division. He did extremely well on the sergeant's list, and he received 102 score. So at some point in the very near future, he'll be making sergeant. Now, what comes with that is obviously some changes, because I have to make sure that the community is still served to the best of my ability. And also, for those of you that weren't aware, and I hate to tell you this or remind you, but Ron will be gone in 10 months. That is unfortunate, but he retires, and at some point we all have to retire, and unfortunately the city won't allow him to remain after the 10-month period, and he will have to leave. So with all of that in mind, I had to make a few changes with your respective SLOs. Now, Ron is going to remain until he retires, and at that point I'll have to reconsider and take a look and look around and see what replacement or what officer I'm going to bring in to be your new senior lead officer. But again, you still have Ron for almost another year, so beat him to death, okay? Now with that in mind, what I'm going to be doing in the very near future, we're going through a transition period right now, but you see up here Trent Berry, you raise your hand? Trent Berry will now be taking over for Justin. And we'll be moving in Justin's area. And Justin will be moving to what was Hamilton's area, which is just north of Magnolia. So he's right next door. He's still going to be in the general area, but he will be moving there as well. And what we're trying to do is have a transition period to allow him to train Trent and prepare him as well. And then again, I have to make some decisions, and these are not easy decisions. There were some very difficult decisions with the promotions and retirements. Unfortunately, things aren't stable, and they do change. But I wanted to make sure that you understood that I will do the best that I can to make sure that I'm taking care of you. My priority is to make sure that you have the best service possible. So each of these new SLOs will be moving into place. They will move in on paper within the next, well, starting next week. But we'll have a transition period where we'll come out and talk to you, identify the stakeholders, talk to people about certain issues within their communities. That's why we have the SLOs here, working together with one another, going to community meetings, learning the various people and those type of things. So from that perspective, my apologies from the sense that unfortunately I can't keep the SLOs in certain areas forever, but you know, change happens and we have to adopt and move along with those. So again, hopefully anybody has any questions or anything like that, you can talk to me afterwards or call the office. But those changes will be taking place within the very near future, and hopefully you support my decisions in terms of making those changes. But again, just realize something, I have your best interest at heart, and I will make sure that you have the best service possible from my police officers. Now, if you like, we'll say a few words. From my newest SLO, he doesn't want to say anything, but he has to since he's brand new.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Vinny tomorrow. I was here about a year ago. I think I was talking about the freeway closure for Justin when he was busy one evening. But I'm glad to be back, and I look forward to working with all of you in the future and getting a lot done. Thank you.
It's been nice. I'll talk to you individually. How's that?
I must tell you, he's not very happy about it. But he's a good trooper, and he's going to do what's in the best interest of the entire Van Nuys area. And again, we serve the Van Nuys community. We don't just serve one community, we serve the entire community. And he's going to be a trooper about it. So let's give him a hand for the service he's providing. Okay, thank you. And like I said, I won't go into crime right now. We're doing well. I think you heard about the knock-knock burglars. We talked about that last time. We've made a significant number of arrests. Hopefully that will curtail some of the problems. What they were doing is burglarizing on one side of the freeway, then they come back over into the Sherman Oaks area about 3 or 4 weeks later, and they would bounce around. But we've made a significant number of arrests. Our Valley Bureau Task Force, which is a combination of a number of officers put in a task force specifically to focus on the burglary problem, has done a significant job. And again, they were hitting Glendale, they were hitting Sherman Oaks, they were hitting West Valley, but they made a significant number of arrests, and hopefully we curtail that problem. There were gangs from the south end that were doing this and getting together and going out and burglarizing these neighborhoods, but hopefully we curtail that problem to that degree. And one thing that I can leave you with: lock it, hide it, keep it.
Thank you. Next, also is LAPD, but different division. Traffic. How's the traffic doing? Well, it's getting worse. For instance, tonight from West Side to here took me about an hour and a half. An hour to get to the freeway and Sunset, and then actually the freeway was wide open. But it's going to get worse. Oh, he said yes. In Sherman Oaks, because of construction that's going to take place. With that, I'd like to ask you to come forward and give us the bad news and the solution.
I'll try the solution. How's that? My name's Officer Nellis. This is my partner, Officer Santos. So we're going to talk about the DWP closures. That's what everybody's concerned about, right?
No.
Okay. No?
DWP or DOT?
DWP closures. Upper Mulholland.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Correct, Coldwater. We just attended an actual meeting, and he's going to explain that to you.
Good afternoon. Just like my partner was saying, we went to a meeting, and believe it or not, LADOT, DWP, and the police department, we're doing our best we can to try to ease some of the pain. Basically what the meeting is about, I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of the Coldwater Canyon. They're going to begin doing more construction just south of where it's going on. And what's going to happen with the street pretty much start winding near Harbor and Westlake. It's going to be a one-lane road. And what they're going to do, basically, they're going to have an officer on the top of the hill and off on the bottom. They're going to periodically open the street for southbound, northbound. So basically it's going to take longer to get across Coldwater. So what the meeting was about, trying to come up with a plan, they're going to ease the pain. I know somebody was asking me outside on regards to only letting the residents in that live in that area. But to be honest with you, it's actually worse. Because once you start directing traffic, checking who lives and who does not, it backs even more than it already does. So it makes sense, but in a way, it's actually worse. What DOT has actually in plan is try to get an officer, like ourselves, we work Valley Bureau. We're part of Van Nuys, but we have to also take care of the whole valley. Mainly the schools, cities, the freeways. So we can't be in the street 24 hours, 7 days a week. But what we try to do is come up with a plan. And one of the plans that is still in process, it hasn't been approved yet, is to get DOT to come up with some extra cash, so to speak, to try to get an officer assigned to that particular Coldwater, so to speak, to be assigned to Coldwater. Because what happened with us, we can tell DOT I'll be there Monday, but we have court. We have to respond to court, we have the commitment, we have training, we have shooting days, so we can't be there every single day. What DOT is actually required is for an officer to be in Coldwater pretty much every single day of the week. Because what they want is 5 days, maybe 6 days, including Saturdays. They want to get the work done as fast as they can. They figure if you get a law enforcement in there, especially with motorcycles or even bicycle detail, once you start writing tickets, people understand, you know what, either can't prepare ahead of time or avoid the hurry completely. Especially if you're writing tickets, that usually seems to work. Because the bottom line is they want to try to get as fast as they can. They don't want traffic going back and forth. I know actually 2 weeks ago, there was a vehicle that was actually trying to go on the wrong side of the street and actually ended up striking one of the construction workers. And it's not the first time it happens. So when that happens, it creates more problem, then you got to investigate, you got to cross the street. And that's what we're trying to prevent actually when it comes to try to get the law enforcement involved.
Actually, we're not going to have time for questions, but he'll be in the back. But let me ask you, just to emphasize it, when is it going to start?
It actually started today.
Today was the first day.
Started today.
And it's going to be a, what, a 1 month project?
Till July.
Till July. Okay. Okay. Be forewarned. I'm sorry, we've got a clarification, which is 100% right. If everything goes right, it'll be reopened in July. But construction is construction. If you have any other questions, they're going to be in the back. And if it's too noisy, they'll take questions outside so they don't interfere. Thank you very much. I appreciate coming. Okay. Let's, first of all, let me introduce the deputies that are here from the various elected offices. Please come up and introduce yourself, and there's certain ones we do want to hear reports from. Wait a minute, come on up. Tamara? Stop flirting with the officers back there. Come on. Introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. Wesley Hernandez, Office of Council Member Paul Koretz, and Sherman Oaks Field Deputy. Just a couple of quick announcements today. In regards to the city budget, the Budget Committee was able to discuss their budget and actually pass it out of committee. It will be heard in front of the full City Council on Friday, with a vote possibly on Monday. Just a couple of highlights. We were able to put a little bit of money aside for tree trimming, some more money for street services, and increase the LAFD budget as well. And of course, that hearing will be on Friday. So if you guys want to attend, it will be downtown starting at 10 o'clock to publicly comment on it. Another thing that will affect the Sherman Oaks area is the 405 project, which is slated to begin on May 19th. And we will be giving an update on that, and Bob Anderson has some traffic impacts to share with you guys as well. But other than that, I just want to also give a shout out to Valley Traffic Division. They've been doing a great job saturating the area and making sure that your complaints are addressed. And thank you once again to Officer Ornelas again for being here and helping our office out. We really appreciate it. Other than that, that's about it.
Also, just a reminder, Koretz and Krikorian are still our councilmen until July 1. And the reason we're happy that Councilman LaBonge came early is he can get an update, a briefing from us tonight. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jonathan Brand. I will be doing land use and planning and development for Councilman Tom LaBonge in the Sherman Oaks area come July 1st, as Mr. Gross just said. It's really my pleasure to be here. I've seen some of you at the neighborhood council meeting, but I was born and raised and grew up in Sherman Oaks, just a few blocks down the street on Nagle Avenue. And I went to Grand High School, and I've been with the city for about 8 years, the last 5.5 as planning deputy for Councilman Zine. It's really my pleasure to be here and get to work with all of you and be part of Sherman Oaks again after all this time. And my boss, Councilman Tom LaBonge, is here tonight.
Thank you. And is it true what I heard about your commitment?
What did
I heard that you committed that you're going to be at all our meetings. It's only 10 a year.
It's only 10 a year. I'll try my best to be at
Okay, that's a commitment. And your boss heard it.
I'm going to try my best.
Trying your best. Are you an attorney using that type of language?
No, no.
Okay, thank you. Tamara, who is an attorney, will give us an update.
And who comes to all the meetings. Hi, everybody. I'm Tamara Gallitzson. I'm the neighborhood prosecutor for Sherman Oaks. I just have two quick things. The first is we are seeing a growing practice in a lot of the hillside communities of people who are renting out their house like it's a hotel by the day, week, or month. So if you come across that, can you let me know or let your senior lead officer know? We're trying to do some research on kind of the legalities of that issue, and also if those folks are supposed to be paying the transient occupancy tax if they're using their house as a hotel. And the other issue, one I know is near and dear to all of our hearts, I have a meeting tomorrow with the folks from DOT who are doing all the trailer sign enforcement. So I'm going to find out exactly how to get our problem trailer signs on their list and what that enforcement is going to look like, and if I'm volunteering to file any criminal cases that come out of it. So hopefully next month I'll have an update on that.
Thank you. And if you can come to all the meetings with your tool roles, now, is it true, because I'm not supposed to say this, but is it true that in addition to being an assistant city attorney, you were on the LA Unified School Board as one of the trustees? Is that correct?
Absolutely true.
And you can come to all the meetings, right?
That's true.
Jonathan, something to look forward to. Stephanie?
Hi, I'm Stephanie Gillette, Field Representative for Assemblymember Mike FEIR. As you know, the governor came out with the May revise. Everything's all bad. So on a positive note, we're still around till the end of the year. If you need anything, my number 310-285-5490. We're here. If you have any state-related issues, problems, concerns, please call me again, Stephanie Gillette, 310-285-5490. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jonathan, also, Stephanie's here at all the meetings too, so if you have any questions for Stephanie, she's here.
Hi, this is my first meeting, but my staff member that usually comes is Pro Richie. You know her. I'm with Congressman Howard Berman's office. I'm Rosie Villegas. And I'm just here to announce that actually the Congressman and Senator Barbara Boxer has written letters to endorse the Metro grants to build the pedestrian tunnel between the orange line and the red line into North Hollywood. And this will bring jobs to the community, jobs to the valley, and it will help the community. I'm bubbling because I don't always do this. So, but if you have any questions, I left some constitutions on the table, and our number is 818-994-7200. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I'd like Bobby Anderson to come up and give us an update on a couple of things.
Hi everybody. How many of you have seen the traffic start to get bad near Valley Vista and Sepulveda due to the 405 construction? Yeah, well, it's going to get worse. They're going to start closing that area more heavily. That overpass, when you drive underneath from Sepulveda, they're going to add 45 feet in width to that overpass. They're going to add 45 feet in width to that overpass and 25 feet in width to the freeway. So there's going to be a lot of pile driving. It's going to take about a year. So it's going to all be rerouted in that area. There's going to be restrictions on turns. So just be careful if you drive there, especially at rush hour, because it's going to be very, very difficult traffic. And it's also going to be hurt by the work that's going on Mulholland. They're closing Mulholland between Woodcliff and Roscommare from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. starting soon until August in both directions for a new power line. In addition to the closure of Coldwater down to one lane during those same hours. So we're going to get a few impacts, and just everybody drive carefully and safely. If you have any questions, my email's in the newsletter. I can answer most things. And stay away from Wilshire too, because they're closing all those on and off ramps for 8 months. Other than that, it's great.
Okay, with that, maybe this microphone's better. I'd like to have Marshall on. First of all, I'd like the councilman to come up here and sit here, because we want him to hear what Marshall has to say. Sit right down. A special seat for you. So Marshall, and if Matt Epstein, as chairman of the South Valley Planning Commission, would please leave the room. Marshall will give an update on some planning matters.
Jonathan? Jonathan, you're the planning deputy, right? Come right up and sit right here. Because we're going to make sure you hear all about this.
Tension mounts. First of all, I want to welcome the councilman to Sherman Oaks homeowners. We're really happy to be in your district. We fought hard to be in your district against the objections of the neighborhood council. I also want to congratulate Jonathan on his beard. I think it's coming along nicely. I give you some trimming, advice. Yeah. As you probably know, the neighborhood council voted Monday to approve the IVT project. There was a good turnout, and I appreciate all the people who attended and who sent emails. There were probably 100 people there. About 75% were against the project and 25% were for the project. As you know, SONG voted 7-3 with 2 abstentions to approve the 1-vote landslide in the Land Use Committee. Several members voting for the project said that they were conflicted. None of the members voting against the project said that they were conflicted. Many curious things occurred, frankly. No books were passed out to each Land Use Committee member showing the plans of the project. Since this is a public information, I requested a copy. Ron Ziff supplied a copy, but all the architectural plans had been removed. I was able to get copies from another member. Ron claims not to have removed the sheets, which I believe, and but somebody removed them, and the only person that could have done it is the developer. The other curious thing was that the developer changed his FEIR number from 2.9 to 2.75 prior to this meeting. They then used the change number to discredit the minority report that that 4 members of the Land Use Committee had prepared. Copies of the minority report are on the table, so that's quite curious, because the 2.9 number was the number that the Land Use Committee had been given. Many questions after the public testimony from the Land Use Committee, or from the neighborhood council, appeared to be coming from 1 or more members who were reading it from a pre-prepared list. Since the questions showed a knowledge of the change of the FEIR, I presume that they had been prepared in advance by the developer. The struggle for this project, or against this project, will continue. The next venue is the Planning and Land Use Committee of the City Council. We hope we can convince Councilman LaBonge to uphold the law and help us reduce the size of the project. Thank you.